Hey, what's going on? This is your stimulus check daily updated information. Can this new budget plan get passed? This is a $3.5 trillion plan, if you can imagine. Now, inside of this plan could be possibly the fourth stimulus check that they've been talking about. This could be possibly a reoccurring payment of $1,200 payments that are going out every month. In fact, there is a support act that's already set up in the House of Representatives that's trying to get this passed. Now, could they possibly sneak this in? $3.5 trillion budget. That's where we're going to have to see what's going on with Nancy Pelosi. We're going to have to see if they can get that done. Hopefully get that, a lot of the other programs extended, child tax credit. Those payments are going out every month. Also, a lot of the other programs, maybe unemployment, maybe extend that out. So a lot of those things are going to be expiring here towards the end of the year. Also, December 31st is going to be the point when states have to send out the stimulus money. If they don't, they got to give that money back to the federal government. And I know that a lot of these states, they don't want to send that money back to the federal government, so they're going to try to figure out some type of plan in order to get them to send out their stimulus check information. I'll show you the states that are happening right now. There's about 10 of those states that are already sending out checks. There's got to be another 35 states that have to be sending out stimulus. We'll have to see. Maybe the Treasury won't send it out. They'll just hold on to the money. But for right now, at least they have some momentum going in Congress to try to get something happening. September is a big month for stimulus because what it does, Congress comes back, they start working on these new plans. They've been taking off over the past couple of months or past couple of weeks for their summer recess. Now they come back to Washington, try to get these plans set up. So I want to cover some of the details for you in this video right here. One of the big petitions is happening right now. This is about 3 million signatures. But one of the petitions says, I'm calling on Congress to support families with a $2,000 payment for adults and $1,000 payments for kids immediately and continued regular checks for the duration of the crisis. Otherwise, laid off workers, furloughed workers, the self-employed and workers dealing with reduced hours will struggle to pay their rent or put food on the table. Giant petition at change.org. Also, Democrat lawyers recently proposed legislation that would hand over recurring checks or guaranteed income with monthly payments of up to $1,200 for adults and $600 for children. However, there's no timeline given on if and when the legislation would be considered or how long it would take to improve the new programs if the bills were to be approved. So this is something that Ilhan Omar has put together. She's a Democrat from the state of Minnesota. She has a support act that's inside of the House of Representatives. She's trying to get this passed. If they can get this passed, they might add this to the $3.5 trillion budget plan. Now, there are some Democrats that are against this budget plan, and that's going to really put a kind of a wrench inside of their plans to get this plan moving forward. So one of the senators is Joe Manchin. He is a Democrat from the state of West Virginia. He's always been kind of on the edge of whether he should vote on these things or not. And right now he has told Congress he wants his Democratic colleagues to put a pause on the budget plan, a $3.5 trillion budget plan. And if he doesn't vote on it in the Senate, it doesn't get passed. That's the issue that we're having right now with Congress, is that they have to pass these bills to get more stimulus out. All the first 3 stimulus checks, they all had to go through Congress. They had to get these plans set up, and they had to get these passed in order to get them to finally get them to President Biden's desk so he can sign it and then get more stimulus out. Now, if they get this reoccurring payment of $1,200 payments, $600 payments, if they can get those set up to where those go out on a monthly basis, that would bypass Congress, and they don't have to worry about coming in and try to get a new bill passed. Now, they might have where the Federal Reserve bypasses banks and Congress and goes straight to the people and gives them an app for a stable coin that they can go out there and use. I think FedNow coin is what they were trying to talk about. They might put that app on your phone. They might say, here's $1,200. Go out there and spend it. You have 30 days to spend it. If you don't, then we take it out of your wallet. That would be crazy. I don't know how they're going to do that, but that would be totally a new financial system that would be set up. It's a possibility. We'll have to see if that comes out. I don't know if it's going to be great down the road, but for the short term, it might give some people some good stimulus. I think the best way to do it is, Congress not spending so much money. I mean, have government not spending so much money. Government now is like 50% of all the GDP out there. It's crazy the amount of money they're spending all these programs. We just don't need that much government in there. Reduce the government, then the dollar could gain strength again, and then we'll have a better handle on inflation that's happening right now. Good news for the states, though. December 31st, they got to get this stimulus check. They got to get the stimulus check out the door, so they have till then. Right now, California is really leading the way. Right, there is a big recall for the governor. The president. He thinks he's governor. He might think he's president, but he is going to be the governor of California. They have a recall for him. They might kick him out of office there. That's coming up in a vote in a couple of weeks. So we'll have to see how that works out. Most of those votes were mail-in votes, so you know how people feel about those mail-in votes. But $600 are going to be sent out to those in California if you live there. Less than $75,000 a year will be getting a stimulus check. Also $500 for dependents. This is the Golden State stimulus. Now, California is the only state that's actually taken money that they got from the federal government and turning it around and giving stimulus to people like the federal government did. All the other states are just kind of targeting very specific people in different areas, which I get. They need it, but hey, there's so many people in those states that definitely need more, more aid. Colorado, one unemployment payment, you'll receive a $375 check. Maryland looks like they're going to be sending out $500 checks, $300 for individuals, earned income tax credit. New Mexico, there's about 4,000 people are going to be getting $720 checks. Not a whole lot of money spent. There's $5 million out of the $1.8 billion stimulus that they received from the federal government. That's all they're spending in New Mexico. A little stingy, those in New Mexico. Florida looks like they're not as stingy. They're going to be sending out $1,000 payments to teachers and administrators, plus frontline workers, so police, firemen, EMTs, all of them are going to be getting a stimulus. Now, I get it's very targeted, and some people are like, well, I'm not a teacher, I'm not an EMT. I totally understand it, but it looks like maybe the teachers union is a bigger organization, and they want to make them happy. Georgia stimulus is going to be $1,000 for teachers and then $500 for part-time teachers. Michigan, $500 hazard pay. New York is $2.1 billion undocumented worker pay in the state of New York. And then Tennessee, $1,000 be sent to teachers. And then also, I think it's part-time teachers are going to be $500 there. Now, Texas, a lot of the individual cities are going to be giving out stimulus. Irvine, looks like $2,000 payments are going to be given out to people in Irvine. That's going to be definitely good news. A lot of different cities in Texas are doing that. The statewide didn't come out and say we're going to be giving stimulus, but individual cities are handling that. I think the teachers union in each state is pretty big. I think they have a lot of power, a lot of control. So I think what states or the governors are trying to do is make them happy, because it seems like they're the ones that are, calling the shots, I guess, in those states. To me, that's why I think it's very targeted. I like what California's doing. They're not really targeting teachers and things like that. They're actually just saying, hey, if you qualify under $75,000, we're going to be giving you a check. So I'd like to see a lot of the other states doing that. California's a little bit more democratic, liberal, progressive, things like that. So they're going to obviously do that. It's going to be hard for states like Florida or Texas to follow the lead of California, because they're just not going to want to do that. One of the things that could put a real dent in this whole new stimulus check is this unemployment rate that's fallen. It went from 5.4% to 5.2%. Now in August, though, they only added 235,000 jobs, which was not a very big number. In fact, it was supposed to be $700,000 increase for the jobs in August, and it was only 235, which is not a very good number. That doesn't mean that there's more unemployment. I don't know why the unemployment rate is dropping. It seems to me that if there's more enhanced unemployment benefits that are going out, maybe that's why it's dropping. So this could put a dent in getting more stimulus, because a lot of times in the past, the economy was struggling. People were filing for unemployment. There wasn't a lot of jobs available. There wasn't really anything happening. So they basically were sending out stimulus checks to everybody. In fact, a lot of the states that closed down, they were trying to get stimulus to people, because when you say, okay, business, you have to shut down and people can't go there and get employment, what are they going to do? How are they supposed to pay their bills? How are they supposed to continue to do that? I mean, you still had to pay a lot of the bills. Now, there are a lot of these rent moratoriums that are ending coming up. They did give people at least a year and a half to not pay rent. Those are going to be coming up here pretty quickly. So you want to be aware of that. I think the president tried to extend out the moratoriums for evictions out through October, and the Supreme Court actually came in and said, nope, you can't do that. CDC cannot mandate to where, the CDC is not an organization that can say that you can't pay the rent. Congress is the only organization that can create something like that. So Congress has to actually create a bill that says, okay, we're going to extend the unemployment, or we're going to extend the, all these programs out. And so Congress is the only one that can do that. In fact, Congress is the only one that can say, hey, it's okay for you not to pay the rent this. So that's where a lot of this thing is happening right now. I think if these numbers continue to look bad, then maybe more stimulus will go out. But if the numbers continue to be okay and they're just kind of normal, may not be more stimulus. But we're going to have to see if they can sneak that in and maybe get a recurring payment down the road. So if you have any questions about stimulus, drop those questions in the comments below. This is your daily stimulus check, updated information for today.